Evening all, and welcome to a slightly different take on the player rating show here on Back of the Net. Now, I hope you're all doing all right. I know it's not only lockdown, but also the dreaded international break. It's not great, it's not ideal, we don't get to watch Bournemouth, but with the podcast with Sam and co, we're going to try and deliver some enjoyable, different content throughout the international break, and this is one of them. Been doing the player rating show now, which has been going well, and we're going to do a slightly different take on that with grading the players on the kind of start to the season, because I think it's a good time now over the 10 game mark to kind of look at how the players have performed individually, and then as a whole maybe at the end. Obviously it's going to be different sample sizes for all the players, some play more than others, but we'll try and do a fair reflection, I think, whenever everyone's individual starts to the season. Feel free to comment as we go and say your gradings and whether you agree, disagree, and why. And yeah, interact throughout as always. Like I say, we're going to try and get some good content going throughout lockdown. And I know that we've got Kevin Bond on the podcast on Saturday evening. I know Jeff and Neil are going to be on that as well, and they're always great and deliver good shows. And I think it'll be really interesting. Obviously, Bondy was a player and a manager at the football club, so really looking forward to that one on Saturday evening. But yeah, we'll get into grading the players, and like I say, we just tried to do it on a kind of the stereotypical school grading system. I might look young and baby-faced, but it's been over 10 years since I've been at school, so they might have changed it, who knows. But the kind of standard grading, A down, and to go through all the players, and we'll just start off, I think, with Adam Smith. He's at the top of my list here, so we'll start with Smithy. And I feel for Smithy because he's probably not comfortable playing on the left-hand side. I think he does a job there, but at the end of the day, you've got someone that's playing on that left-hand side predominantly at that left wing-back role. He was not left-footed. He wants to come in on his right all the time, and that's just the way it is. He clearly would say he's a right fullback, right wing back, but playing on the left hand side, which has been difficult for him and maybe has hindered the balance of the team at times. Having said that, he always puts a shift in, Smithy. I think I saw a stat that he's won the most fouls in the league, or he's up there, because of the way he draws defenders on. So I think he's been okay, Smithy. Having said that, I think he's been a top player for us for years, and I think his standards will be quite high. And I do expect a bit more. I think at the moment he's probably not quite in the starting 11 at the moment. It'd be interesting to see after the international break if he comes in, because I think Jack Stacey, who we'll get onto, has been performing so well on that right side. He's going to struggle to get in there, and Diego on the left hand side gives us that balance, like I'm saying, being the left footer. So I think it's a difficult one with Smithy because I haven't been disappointed with him, but he probably hasn't hit the levels. So for that alone, I think it's only fair really to give Smithy a rating of D. I think D is a fair way to go, and that's just saying that he's just under that kind of C grade that we look at as kind of the pass mark is what it's referred to as, I think. So yeah, I think he's probably just below that. He knows that I expect more from Smithy, and I think we will. I love Smithy, and I think we will see better performances as the season go on. But like I say, he is, because of that versatility, he is being used in different roles, and I think we should put that into consideration. So close to a C for me, but I'm just going to put him under that bracket with a D. Into Arnie. Arnie's a player we all love, we've all warmed to here as fans. Didn't see enough of him last season. There's been a lot of fitness issues with Arnie since he come in and through his career, really, which is a real shame. But when he plays, he's got that bit of magic, and he really has. His finishing, he just bending it into the corner from that left-hand side. He can beat a man with ease at times. But there has been the odd game where I felt you wouldn't even know he was out there. Maybe when the team isn't performing as well, he goes missing sometimes, and he's probably been better off the bench occasionally. So I think it's about consistency with Arnie. I think that's going to be important. But there's no doubt he's had a good start of the season. Been really impressed with Arnie, and he's someone that I really like and really think he's going to come into his own. So I think because of the fact he's won us points as well, he's delivered in terms of goals as well, which is so important. So I think for that, I'm going to go for a B plus. I'm going to go for the B plus because I think he's very, very close to being, one of the top players. The only reason we're not going to go for that A grade is because there were a few games, like I say, where he's lacked that consistency. But But Arnie's been great, really happy with him, and just feel he's going to get better and better. So always excited to see Arnie in the team. Now, Asmir Begovic, I tell you what a player. How has he done? I mean, fair play to him. You almost forget what a top goalkeeper he was. I mean, Stoke loved him. He got his move to Chelsea, and they always said, he never let them down as much as kind of being the number 2 there. And then he coming to us was probably a slight upgrade on Boric, maybe not as much as we would have hoped for. He was doing okay. Then he had a bad patch. He had a really bad patch. He would openly admit that. I don't think the defence in front of him helped. It was a bad patch in terms of everything involved in the team, and he got left out. And I probably think at the time, us fans probably agreed with that from Eddie at the time, that it was maybe time to take him out and bring Boric in because he wasn't performing, and he just never got back in the team and ended up going out on loan out to Karabag, I think it was, in Azerbaijan or somewhere, and then ended up at AC Milan. And I didn't see a way back for Asmir, I've got to be honest. And with Rambo going, JT's obviously given him that opportunity, and what I will say is the character and professionalism of the guy is second to none. He's come in, he's worked hard, he's knuckled down, he's got the number 1 jersey, and he hasn't let us down at all, has he? I mean, he's been faultless. And as much as Rambo's got the fact that he's younger and he's got that potential and etc., and us fans really warm to Rambo, there's no way you'd have done any better. Begovic has not let us down at all, and he's actually, I think, really helped to, in some of them performances where we kind of got a little bit fortunate, we didn't play well, he kept us in them games with some vital saves. Distribution's been good, big throw outs. He's been spot on. I can't ask for any more from Asmir Begovic, and I've got to be honest with you, I wouldn't swap him for any other goalkeeper in the Championship. No way. And what is interesting, I know it's very early days, you could end up with a situation where Asmir Begovic is a Premier League goalkeeper next season and Aaron Ramsdale's a Championship goalkeeper. So weird how things work, but absolutely delighted for him. And I think Asmir deserves an A. He deserves an A. He's been spot on. And also mentioned for his cup performance where he did miss a penalty, but he also saved the one and was a bit of a hero in that Crystal Palace game. So Asmir deserves an A for me because he hasn't done anything wrong. He's been spot on. Into one of the defenders now, Chris Mepham, who's obviously been played majority of the time in a free, kind of that right centre-back. And I think he's been a bit indifferent for Meps. I think on the whole, I like Meps. I'm happy with him. I think a lot of people are saying if we go into this 4, he might be the one that gets left out, with Steve Cook and Lloyd Kelly probably being the favoured 2, which would probably be quite harsh on Meps because I think in this league Meps would get into virtually all of the team's defences, and he scored that vital goal at the end against Watford. He's put in some really good displays. I thought he was good in our last game against Birmingham as well. But a few little errors in there as well. I remember, I believe it was the Cardiff game where he was probably at fault for the goal that we conceded. There's still a few errors in there. He's still a bit young. He's still quite raw, I would say, but he tries to play the right way. I do like Meps. I think he's a top defender in the Championship. And at the moment, he just needs to try and get away from them little errors that are still there in his game. But I'm happy with Meps, and I'm never concerned if he's playing. I think he'll probably say that he can deliver a little bit more consistent performances, but he certainly hasn't been poor for us. So I think a C grade is fair for Meps personally, and let me know if you agree with that, because I think he's a difficult one in terms of there's been some really good performances and some under par ones as well, but I'm going to go for the C grade. Next up, Dan Gosling. Gosling obviously been around for a while now, Mr. Reliable in a sense. Know what you're going to get from Dan Gosling. Might not be technically the best footballer, but always puts a shift in, always works his socks off, and he's a valuable member of the squad, let's be honest. And there's certain games where I feel Gosling is so needed. I remember in the Premier League, you used to think if you were going to, say, Man City away or Liverpool, something like that, Gosling's got to be in there because of that energy he gives you and the amount of ground he covers. For him personally, he probably would have liked to have cemented a starting place down more consistently, I would say, for Gos, now that we've dropped the level, and he would have hoped for that. But unfortunately, he's got players like Lewis Cook and Jefferson Lerma in the squad that are performing really well. So he's going to come in and out of the side, I think, and I think that's how he's going to be throughout the season. I'm never worried if Dan Gosling's starting. I'm always happy. There's been a few games where I think he hasn't been great, but then remember the Coventry game, he always pops up with a goal now and again. He's vital to have in and around the squad, and I'm always I'm always happy with Gos without him ever setting the world alight. So I just think a C grade, you can't go wrong with that for Gos, because he hasn't been terrific, but he hasn't been poor either. You know what you're going to get from him. So C grade for Gos as well. Into Diego Rico. Didn't start the season. I believe he had a knock at the start of the season. Then he came in and he played as kind of that left centre back of a free when Lloyd Kelly was out, and I thought he was brilliant there. Then he's been moved into the left back spot, left wing back spot. You know, he's got a bit of versatility there, but he offers us, like we said earlier when we were talking about Smudge, that he offers that balance on the left hand side. And Diego's someone that when he come into the football club, I really didn't see him holding down a place in this side. Now, I would start Diego. I think he's been brilliant. I think he's up there in the Championship with one of the highest interceptions. I was on a EFL show at the weekend with a Birmingham fan, just discussing the game and all things, and I was asked about Diego because from someone that's not a Bournemouth fan, you know, because they obviously see the numbers and probably don't know a lot about him either, and see that he's performing quite well and is quite a consistent performer for us. So I really like Diego. I think he's been really good for us. I also like his forward thinking. A lot of the time when he gets the ball, like we were saying with Smithy, where because he's right-footed, would come inside and etc. etc. Maybe Lloyd Kelly is left centre back, maybe a little bit cautious, having given the ball away a few times. And Diego just wants to look forward, and he's got a hell of a left foot on him as well. He's managed to avoid that next yellow card. If he gets one more, he could be suspended. But I like Diego. I still think there's more to come, to be fair, but I think he's been pretty consistent. I think considering I've gone for kind of C grades for Mepham and Gos, I think I'm happy with Diego to get a B. I'm more than happy with Diego. I think he will have spells out of the side, but I think he can really cement a place down on that left-hand side. So, yeah, happy with Diego. This is going to be one that's going to be difficult. Dom Solanke, mainly due to the fact that he's a centre-forward who himself will say he hasn't got enough goals. He would have wanted more goals at this stage, no doubt about that. And as a striker, you were definitely looked at on your goal scoring record. We can't get away from that. Having said that, his performances have been really good, in my opinion. I've been really happy with what Dom does on a football pitch, and at the end of the day, he might not be getting the goals himself, but if you take him out, the team don't get as many goals. I genuinely believe that. I think that was evident in the week we've just had. Played Sheffield Wednesday, Dom was left out. We looked absolutely hopeless going forward. We played Birmingham, Dom starts the game, doesn't score, but how much more of a threat did we look going forward? I think I always say he connects things so well. Yes, he works his socks off, but more than that, he's clever, he's an intelligent player, and everyone around him, whether it be Arnaut Danjuma, David Brooks, they look better when Dom's up there. So he deserves an enormous amount of credit for that, and I do believe he will start getting a bit of a scoring run. Will he get 20 plus goals? That remains to be seen. But I think he will deliver a decent amount of goals for us, and it's just important that we still pitch in from other areas, like I say with Danjuma, Brooks, Stanislas, they pitch in with goals, because Dom's not that sort of striker. But the sort of striker he is, and the way he brings players into play, I'm really happy with. But we have got to look at the fact that he's a striker who hasn't scored enough goals. So for that alone, I'm going to go for a C+. I'm going to dig out a plus there, because I think he deserves higher than a C, but we can't go too high due to the fact that he hasn't scored enough goals. I think that's fair, but I think that would be one that you might get, I'd be interested to see, people with the comments, because I think a lot of people will be saying, oh, he's been brilliant, he's got to be a B. And then other people will be going, he ain't scored, he's got to be a D, he's been poor. So that's why I've gone for that C+. I think that's a fair reflection. There's a few players I've left out in terms of not played enough minutes, but I am going to go with Jack Simpson, because he did play in the 2 cup games, and he has been in the squad. I know he hasn't played, he's come on like the last minute in a few games, but he's had 2 games that I thought were quite different. I thought against Palace, I thought he was superb in the cup game. I thought he was really solid. And he didn't look out of place at all. I thought he was really, really good. I think the Man City game, he was probably at fault for the opening goal and looked a bit shaky at times, but I think Jack's a really difficult one, because people, I totally agree, he is no way near to the level of the centre-halves ahead of him. But I think Jack would get minutes at other clubs in this league, and I think the problem with Jack is you look at him as this young player that's come through the ranks. He's not that young anymore. He's not a teenager. He probably needs to be getting playing football, and I wouldn't be surprised, remains to be seen what happens with Cameron Carter-Vickers, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's knocking on Jason's door in January and saying, could I try and get at least a loan move away, because I need to be playing football. I mean, he's been at the club for so long now and always been a good squad player in terms of he's right down the pecking order, but there's not many, he's been like our 5th, 6th choice at times, centre-half, and there hasn't been, not many clubs would say they've got better when you go that far down, but he's got to be playing football. I almost feel like just for Jack's sake, he needs to go and play football. I think at someone in League One, I think he'd be a top centre half. But like I say, when he's playing the club, I think he's done okay. We don't know what's happening with Carter Vickers, if it's a fitness thing, or is Jack in training and got that confidence from JT that if we needed to make a change in a game due to an injury, normally the case if you're going to make a defensive change, he would rather Jack Simpson come on. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think from Jack's point of view, like I say, it's a lot smaller sample size because he's just played really in the cup games. He would have wanted to make a statement in them cup games, say I should be playing. He didn't do that, but he didn't let us down. So I think Jack personally will think, I haven't really been given too many opportunities. When I have, I've done okay, but I need to be playing more football. So for that, I'm just going to give Jack a D, because I think that's fair, but obviously the sample size is a lot smaller, like I say. Got to put that into consideration. Jack Stacey, who, to be honest, I think he's getting that, that I look at him as Mr. Consistent. That's the kind of term I'd use for Jack Stacey. I mean, Adam Smith's a hell of a right back, and Jack Stacey, Smithy can't get in there because Stacey just will not let us down. He's getting better defensively. I think a wing back role really suits Stacey because he loves bombing on, but he's getting better defensively. He's got a physical presence about him, which I like. His engine is second to none. He gets up and back all game. He can deliver a good final ball as well. He scored on the opening day, good goal against Blackburn, and I feel like he will pitch him with the odd goal because he gets so far forward. I love Jack. I really, really do. He's really consistent, and I just can't really remember really been disappointed with Stacey. He's always one of our better performers, and yeah, I think he's got to be one of the best. I can't say I know ins and outs of every team in this division, but I can't imagine there's many, if any, better right backs. So really, really like Jack. I'm going to go for a B+. He definitely deserves the plus because he's been so consistent. I haven't set the world alight enough to get on the A grade for me, but yeah, really happy with Jack Stacey. He's been a great signing for the football club. One of my favourites now, Jefferson Lerma. Oh, what can I say about Jeff? He just offers everything, doesn't he? Whether he's sitting in front of the back four and breaking up the play and distributing, he does that well. JT's given him a role though he's more advanced this season. Put him into a role that I don't think any of us fans would really have anticipated him kind of getting forward more. He's pitched in with goals. He's got assists. You know what I mean? He looks brilliant going forward as well. I thought, what can this man not do? I really hope we don't have too much interest in January because I look at him and think this guy, I wouldn't swap him for another centre midfielder in this league because he gives us so much. I'm so glad that he's played so much football and travelled so much more than the other players as well, which obviously is going to be interesting to see. I think he's going to Ecuador with Colombia on this international break. And then obviously we've got a couple of games back to back. Will JT look at the fact that he did tweak his hamstring and maybe not play him for 90 minutes or start him in both the upcoming games? It'll be interesting to see. I think it's hard because you'll just want to play Jefferson Lerma, and that's obviously what JT did. When you get a hamstring injury like that, you think maybe you've got to be a little bit more cautious and mindful about when you play Jeff after these international breaks. But what a player. I love him. I think all the fans really love Jeff, and I think he's been one of our top performers. What more can he do? He's top drawer for me, and I love him, and I'm giving him an A, which I'm sure you're not surprised about. But I do. I think even if we have a bad game, he's normally still relatively consistent. I can't really remember. I remember there was a spell after lockdown, obviously when no one really performed, let's be honest, where he looked a bit rusty. Apart from that, his whole career at Bournemouth he's just been so reliable. So yeah, well happy with Jeff, which I'm sure you all are. Junior Stanislas, who started the season off and then got his injury as expected. Really feel for him. His whole career has been hampered with injuries and knocks and setbacks all the time. But when he's on the pitch, especially at this level, he's top drawer. I thought it on the weekend. I mean, obviously the plaudits were going to Danjuma, to Brooksy, but Stanislas links things so well. A bit like Dom Solanke, he's so intelligent, and he makes it so much easier for the players around him. I mean, his assist for Danjuma's goal was just so clever. He can play in that hole, do you know what I mean, that advanced in central area, but you can also play out wide. And yeah, Junior's great. He's going to come in out the side mainly due to the fact of his fitness issues. But I think if we can keep him relatively fit throughout the season, then he'll deliver goals, he'll deliver assists, and he'll be a real integral part. And he's been at the club for a long time now, and when he's played, he's been pretty good for us. It's just the fact that we haven't got the amount of games we would have liked to from Junior, and Junior would agree with that. And I think because of that, I think when he's played, he's been really good. But I think because of that, he's not going to quite get the B for me, because he hasn't played as he would himself say. I wish I could have played a bit more. So I'm going to go for a C+, because I think when Junior's played, he has delivered on the whole. But I just want to keep him more fit, because when he's fit, I think he's one of the players that will be crucial for us. Roro, probably our only signing, only on loan, albeit, that I'm going to rate because Carter Vickers hasn't kicked the ball for us. But Roro deserves to be mentioned, even though he's only made some cameo appearances off the bench, because he come on in one of them and saved us a point. Coming off the bench, really nice volley from the right-hand side. And in the small sample size that we've got in the little cameo appearances he's made, he looks exciting. He looks like he wants to roll at players. He looks quite direct. Looks like he's got good feet. At the end of the day, he's been playing in Spain for Atletico Madrid, so you've got to be a half-decent player. And I think technically he looks like a player that will do well for us. I think with the games coming thick and fast, we might start seeing more of him. Easy to give him a really high rating because of what we've seen has been good. Having said that, he obviously, whether it be fitness, whether it be behind the scenes, isn't quite doing it enough for JT to feel like he can rely on him yet. We're just slowly bringing him into the team. He probably himself will say, I would have liked to have got a few more minutes, so he needs to prove himself in that aspect, maybe in training and behind the scenes. But I think with a busy schedule coming up, I think we might see a bit more of Roro. I'd be interested to see him, like I mentioned there about Arnie and Junior. They, known to get knocks and stuff like that. So I think he'll get his opportunities, and we'll see if he delivers. I think, because I was just going to go down the middle with a C, because I thought what we've seen, he's been good without getting many minutes. But I'm going to give him the plus rating, because at the end of the day, he got us a point single-handedly. So C+ for Roro. But I'll be interested to see on the comments, do people feel that it's maybe time for him to get a starting berth, and let's give him a game, with every couple of days, do we chuck him in for a game and see him maybe off the right of a free or something like that, and give him that opportunity. In terms of giving players opportunities, Sam Surridge has been limited. Scored in the Cup against Man City, which is no mean feat, and started at Coventry, which one of our better performances of the season. Played up alongside Dom Solanke. Didn't score, but I thought, like I mentioned with Dom, I thought his work rate and them two as a front two helped us deliver a good offensive display on that night. And Sam's someone that comes in and puts shift in, and I always like what I see from Sam Surridge. Having said that, will he offer enough? Is he quite at that level? He's not as good as Dom Solanke in that role. And then if you're going to play a two, you'd rather see someone like an Arnie just off, Brooksy just off, Josh King. Is Sam Surridge quite to that level yet? Probably not. But if I was Sam Surridge, I've mentioned this before, I'll potentially be saying to JT, look, we're playing quite well, but we haven't got a consistent goal scorer. Give me a couple of games, give me some starting, give me some more opportunities. I started in the Cup against Man City and I scored. I'm a good fit. I think naturally Sam Surridge looks like a bit more of a natural finisher in the short times I've seen him. And I wonder, similarly to Roro, I wonder if he'll get a few more minutes during the busy schedule. And I do like Sam, but him himself would have said, again, a bit like Jack Simpson that I said about, he'll be saying, when I got my chances, I should have really taken them more. I think it was Coventry, and I can't think off the top of my head. He started again the game after that and wasn't up to it, and we took him off. And I think he didn't quite, like I say, he played well against Coventry, but he hasn't quite done enough in the few times to warrant that starting berth, or probably even get off the bench enough. I know there's been a few games where he hasn't actually made the squad when players are now coming back to fitness and Josh King coming back and things like that. But for that, I'm going to give him a D. Probably sounds a little bit harsh because I think Surridge has done okay when he's played. My reasoning for that is, in the Championship, he would have wanted to go on, I'm going to make a statement and want to play more games, and he obviously hasn't done that. So D for me for Sam Surridge. Our skipper, Steve Cook, unbelievable. He is our leader. He's our skipper at the back. He's just won the Player of the Month award for us, which can't argue with. He's been brilliant, and I think where we're in games where we haven't played as well. We've had a few 1-0s, 0-0s, where it hasn't quite happened up the top end of the pitch. We've always looked pretty solid due to mainly Asmir Begovic, who we mentioned, who got a high rating, and Steve Cook. Some of the blocks, the one he took on the chest/head/arm/gut was sensational. And what a player for this club, what a legend. And I don't even want to think about the day he's not with us anymore. Just love Steve Cook, and I'm not surprised by his performances. And like I've mentioned with a few players, which is why probably the expectations are so high amongst the fan base and amongst the club, is because I've mentioned there with Begovic, with Lerma, with different players that wouldn't swap them for anyone else in their position in the league. And it's the same with Steve Cook. I think he's probably the best centre-back in the league. Off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. I've mentioned in the comments if there's any other players at other clubs that come close, but I think Steve Cook's top draw. The only reason I'm not giving him the A-star, the top mark, is because of the sending off. Whether he should have got it probably was a little bit harsh, but at the end of the day, an A-star rating for someone that has got sent off and gave away a penalty, that's why he's just going to get the A, but he thoroughly deserves the A. He's been brilliant, and it's proofs in the pudding when the fact that probably our best performance of the season was at the weekend when Cook was suspended, but everyone wants him back in the team. Do you know what I mean? That says a lot. So I think Cookie's been brilliant and deserves the A rating. Now we're going to go from Philip Billing. It's really tough because I don't like. You know what I'm like. I'm definitely a very positive fan, and I want to see Billing prove me wrong. I really, really do. And it's not personal. I know people say sometimes that it's easy to. He's kind of the scapegoat sometimes, and I will say that I thought against Watford, where he kind of surprisingly started the game, and his partner Jefferson Lerma had to come off due to an injury as well. I thought he'd done okay. I thought he was pretty good against Watford. I will give him that. But the fact is, in every other game he's played, I think he's looked really poor, apart from the Watford game. And he can't even get in the squad. He cannot get in the squad. And to be honest with you, I'm not sat there thinking, why can't he get in the squad? I'm sat there thinking, well, I'm not surprised. I would genuinely prefer to see people like Nnamdi Othobor coming in and getting an opportunity. I don't think Philip Billing personally will be around here too much longer. I wouldn't be surprised if we take a little bit of a hit in terms of the transfer fee paid. I know the Huddersfield fans said when we got him that if everything's going well at the club and the team's playing well, he'll look classy, he's blah blah blah. But if things are getting tough and you need someone to show a bit of bite, he might go missing. And I think they're probably right with that. And since Billing's come in, it hasn't been all swim sailing, has it? You know, we got relegated at the end of the day, and he did go missing at times. He's clearly a decent footballer. There's technical ability there, no doubt about that. And I thought in the Premier League there was a spell where he played a little bit more advanced, and he scored. I can't remember if it was I think he brought in the cup. I think he scored. And Villa, I think he got a goal, but he looked a bit better advanced. I'll give him that. And maybe he's not playing in a role that suits him. He certainly looks better in a free. But the simple fact is, when he plays, he hasn't been up to standard. He has not been good enough, and he's playing in the Championship now. And you know, Billing's got to start proving himself. And he's, you know, even sometimes I feel like if it's not quite going your way, especially for fans, just put a little bit more in. Just make that tackle, make that sprint to get back. Do you know what I mean? Do something that the fans think, you know what, you're showing a bit there. And he walks around the pitch. It might be a style, but it's really, you know, I remember Pittman sometimes, you know, his running style and things like that. It can look a bit lazy, but you know it wasn't with Brett. You'd see him busted a gut, and you'd see him doing things, and Billing just doesn't. I've said this so many times. I don't see him. He's not going to get loads of goals for us from midfield. He's not going to be an all-engine, covering loads of ground. He's not going to sit in front of the back four and dictate the play or make crunching tackles. I don't really know what he's going to offer us. And to be honest, I don't think we'll see much of Philip Billing until he potentially leaves the football club, personally. And I wish him all the best and say I hope it works for him somewhere else, but just not sure if it's going to work here. I don't want to be too harsh. I'm going to give Philip Billing an E. So, yeah, not great for Philip Billing's grade in there, and sounds like me in mathematics at school, to be honest with you, an E grade. It's not one you want to think about, it's one you want to get rid of, but is what it is. Give my comments below if you've got any kind of feelings on that and think that there's reasons behind maybe Billing's performance, because no one can tell me that Philip Billing's been good for us since he's come in. I'll argue that all day long. He has not been a successful signing. But if anyone's got kind of opinions on why that is, and is there things around him that's not working as well, and is he not playing a role that maybe suits him, then I'm happy to hear that. Another player that's not really delivered for us is Josh King. It's a difficult one because there's no doubt about it. Josh wanted to get a move, but were it to be, JT obviously in the football club didn't feel like any interest or bids that come in were worthy of selling him. He's going to go on a free transfer at the end of the season if he doesn't go beforehand, which wouldn't surprise me if he went for a smaller fee in January, if maybe a club maybe near the bottom end of the Premier League kind of takes a punt on him in January to try and help them. But what I will say for Josh is, do I think that when he didn't really start the season, whether that was a managerial decision or Josh's head not with it, we don't really know. I think what I will say is I don't think personally he hasn't put a shift in when he's played. I don't think I'm seeing a player that's really stropping and stuff like that. Yeah, people have their opinions on it, but I think he's still put a shift in. He's still done okay in that sense, but he just hasn't delivered the ability we know Josh King's got in this small sample size that we've got for Josh King. And the fact is, he was dropped, rightly so in my opinion, from JT at the weekend, and we looked a better team going forward without Josh King, which is surprising, but really weird that we were kind of, looking at him wanting a move, and these big clubs that are looking at him. He don't get in my starting 11 at the moment, which says a lot. I think Josh will pitch in with the odd goal and help drive us on in a few games up until January, and then we'll see what happens. He's been brilliant for us. Let's be real. He come to us. I think we played a bit of compensation to Blackburn, but he come to us on a free transfer, and he's had some really good times with the club. And I wish him all the best when he does depart. I'll be very shocked for Josh to sign a new deal and stay with us long term now. But all I hope is from now until January, until the end of the season, that he grafts away. At the end of the day, he's there and he's available for us to play him. Unlike other players we've had in the past who have decided not to turn up for work. So give him a shout for that. But he hasn't performed on the pitch when he's played, but it's a lot smaller sample size, and difficult one. So I'm going to give him the same as Billing, though. I'm going to give him an E. I don't think he warrants a higher rating than Philip Billing. I think that would be harsh on Billy, to be honest. So E grade for Josh King. Lloyd Kelly, another player who's had his knocks and things like that, but he's a good player. He's a really good centre half at this level. Played that left side of a free because he naturally has had a career at left back, but he looks brilliant in a two as well, and really good player. I think he made, I can't remember what game it was, where he did get caught out on the ball sometimes, and he's still trying to develop that side of his game, but you can tell that JT and the staff want our players to play out from the back. You can definitely see that, and Lloyd is good at that, and he can also, when he plays on that left centre-back role of a free, he gets forward as well. I like Lloyd Kelly, and he's going to be a good player for us. I think what's difficult is he's kind of, because he's coming for Nathan Ake, I mean, the bar can't be any higher, can it? So I think you've got to take that out of it, really, because we're not going to get anyone like Nathan Ake. And Lloyd Kelly is a top defender for me, top defender. There's been a few knocks and things like that, and like I said, a few little rickets, which is going to be why I don't quite go as high as an A grade. But I think Lloyd Kelly deserves a B, because I think he's been pretty consistent and pretty solid for us, and he would start for me every day of the week. There's also a case of when we're talking about this back four, and we were saying earlier about Meps would be harsh to miss out. There'll be a case where I wouldn't be surprised if someone like Diego's maybe rotated, and you see kind of a back four from right to left of Stacey, Mepham, Cook, Kelly, because Kelly has played left back a lot of his career, so I could see that. I could see him doing a job there, but I think ultimately going forward, I think him and Steve Cook would be a really strong pairing at this level. It's a pairing that I would be happy with in the Premier League, to be honest with you. Last few, and Lewis Cook, we all know the ability of Lewis Cook, but the injury he's had, which was really difficult when he come in, and he's taken a while for him to get back in, I feel, and deliver them consistent levels of performances. But he's starting to do that now. JT's given him a new role, and you've got to give JT credit for that, because I think him sitting slightly deeper, getting hold of the ball, dictating the pace of the game, his passing ability, his drive, his tackling as well. I think everything's improved, and I think virtually with every game, Lewis Cook's getting better and better and better. He's one of the first names on the team sheet for me now. Took a little knock and had to come off in the last game when he started so well, but I'm hearing that it wasn't too serious, which is great, and obviously the international break gives him a little bit more time to get back up to speed, so hoping he'll be fine. But I think Lewis and Jeff have really got a good what's the blooming word? Good partnership in that middle together. So I love Lewis, and we're really starting to see the levels now that what we know he can get from Lewis Cook. So I love him, and I'm going to give him a B plus. Oh no, B plus or A. Oh, it's really, really tough for me, because I know we can get more from Lewis Cook, and I think he's just getting there. I think personally, which you've seen from the ratings, I think Asmir Begovic, Steve Cook, Jefferson Lerma, they've been the three for me. Then probably Lewis Cook. So I'm going to give him a B plus, which I think is fair. I think a lot of people will be saying A because he has been brilliant for us, but I'm going to give him the B plus because I think it's just going, like I say, he's getting better and better and better and better. But to give him an A would say there's no real, he's not going to get any better. I think he will, and I think if we address this again later on the season, I wouldn't be surprised if I give him an A, because I think he's top draw. The last player I'm gonna give a rating on is David Brooks, and it's a difficult one because obviously he's had his injuries, and we've done well to keep hold of him, Brooksy. I'm only really going off the last couple of games. I know he's played a few at the start and in the cups and stuff like that. In the last couple where he started, I thought against Sheffield Wednesday, the whole team wasn't good, but I thought he was really, really poor, looked well off it. And I was almost a little bit surprised to see him start again against Birmingham, but thank God he did. In that system, he was superb. They couldn't get hold of him. Scored 2 goals, and yeah, he's different class when he's playing like that, isn't he? Especially in this league. And so I'm going off the fact that, like I say, a much smaller sample size, and you're almost going one performance against Birmingham, he's A, he was brilliant, he was man of the match, and then another one where I thought he was shocking right at the bottom. So even that up, I think there's obviously, we're going to see more from him, in my opinion. We're going to get more from him, so I don't want to go too high because of that. So I'm just going to go C plus, because I think C probably would have been fair, but because he's had one really good game and one really poor game, but because of how good he was against Birmingham and because he got the goals to match, I think he deserves a plus. But I'm sure there'll be plenty of Bs and stuff in there, but I hope you will appreciate that it's because he hasn't played enough football, and we would have wanted to see more games from him. Before I get into rating the manager, I haven't gone into Nnamdi Ofoborh, Jordan Zamora, obviously Carter Vickers. He hasn't kicked the ball for us, and I can't make a case for someone in training because I'm not at training. But Jordan Zamora, what I will say is fair play to him when he played in the cup games. I don't think he's quite there yet to be starting in the league games, but more than happy for him in the cup games. Got given that confidence from JT to start against the likes of Man City, and didn't think he let us down. Thought he'd done really well. And on this international break, by the way, I will say that Jordan Zamora has been called up to the Zimbabwe squad, and credit to him for that. And they're playing on Thursday night against Algeria. So there's a chance that he'll be coming up against Riyad Mahrez of Man City, who he's already come up against this season and done well. So that'd be interesting to see. But bright future for Jay-Z. Also a bright future for Nnamdi Ofoborh. I just didn't think it was fair because we haven't seen an awful lot of them for their career, never mind this season, to give him a rating. But he's another player that, to be honest with you, I think fans would agree. If we had an injury crisis in the middle of the park or at the back, I wouldn't mind seeing Nnamdi, and I think we will see him in amongst the squad. And I know Wickham liked him last season when he was involved in their promotion push, which they ended up succeeding in. So 2 players that really bright future, and also people like Jane Anthony, Gavin Kilkenny. We've got a few players that be interested to see. I can understand why they haven't been given loan moves due to the amount of games and if you get injuries. At the moment, we haven't had enough injuries for them to be able to stake a claim, but it'd be interesting to see come January whether JT lets a few of them have that opportunity by going out on loan, or if he feels they're too valuable for the squad to let go. Be interested to see, but I think we've got exciting time for them players, and that's why we still got them on the books. In terms of JT, the manager, we've got to give him a rating, and I think we'll start off that it'll be interesting to see if he goes with that 4 now. He started with a 3, a new system. We mentioned on the show that we done on Sunday night that is that a little bit to do with Graham Jones, who's coming from Luton and always liked that back 3, it might have been. But certain times in games where I feel like a system probably hasn't worked for us, there's a few things. But what I will say is we've talked about how the new role for Jefferson Lerma, fantastic. How he's brought Asmir Begovic back, brilliant decision. The role for Lewis Cook, how he's gone. Josh King didn't perform, he dropped. I really like what he's done there, and I think he's adapted well in them situations. At the end of the day, he's got a squad there that have just been relegated. Don't get me wrong, on paper, this squad is probably the best in the league. But he's got a team that have lost some of their key players on the back of relegation. He's a new manager. We've lost a really successful, our most successful manager ever at the football club in Eddie Howe. Jason's come in, and I think he's done well. We're 4th in the league. We've only lost 1 football match, and he deserves credit for that. But there's a few things to work on still. I think as a whole, I spoke about it on Twitter, and it seems to be the general consensus that I think a B rating is probably fair for the team as a whole. I think for JT, because I think it's probably fair to do that. I think 4th, 1 unbeaten game, you'd say bang on, A, that's brilliant. Some of the performances have been very underwhelming. We've probably only performed to our maximum in a couple of games, so there needs to be moved. So I'm flirting between C+ and B, but I'm going to go for a B because of the fact it's a results-based business, and we're 4th, having lost 1 game, and I'm more than happy with that. I think everyone would agree with that. But I think first, real managerial role at this level, and I think he's done well. And I'm looking forward to see how we go moving forward. Be interested to see what everyone's saying, and I hope, it'd be interesting to see, if everyone agrees, disagrees, and like I say, during this lockdown period and international break, I'm sure Sam, who's been brilliant, will deliver more enjoyable content for everyone. And like I say, putting your suggestions in the comments as well, and to us on Twitter and things like that, because it's also always good to get new ideas, getting a few little new shows and things like that, and see what people enjoy really. But thanks to Sam and everyone for giving me the opportunity. Probably just trying to get the average age down, I think, but having said that, it's been great, and like I say, been doing some really good stuff at the moment during this lockdown period. Make sure you all keep talking about football, talking about yourself, and there's so many, I mentioned it before, there's so many fans and this love for football, and it's during this period, I think it's really important to talk and keep up debates, and and just talk about things that we love, because I know that a main reason for me of being looked at as this really positive Bournemouth fan, sometimes maybe too positive and blindly positive. I don't like to be too negative on the club. That's because, for me personally, when I've struggled with different things with my mental health and things like that, Bournemouth's always been the thing to look forward to. Bournemouth's always been the thing that has really kept me going. It's been a love that, and with the fans and with the club and with the players, that has just kept me positive. And without Bournemouth, I don't know where I'd be. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a game, is it? We all know that, and that's been because of the football club. And that's why I'm so positive. And I don't know if you can see that there's some writing on this shirt. It's a prized possession for me, this shirt. It actually says on it, "To Tom, stay strong through tough times. Best wishes, Eddie, Jason, and Fletch." So you can see why that's a prized possession. And would you get that at some other football clubs? I don't think so. And that's what you get. What a football club that do things like that. And we've had certain players like Fletch, and we're getting Bondi on, and we've had ex-players on, and that community feel, that family feel to this football club, despite the success now of the club, has got to remain intact. And I think with Back of the Net and Sam in particular really kept that going, and talking Cherries as well with Simon has really kept that going. Steve, with what we've seen with the thing in Uganda, has just been amazing. And yeah, you've got to give that credit, and Bournemouth as a football club deserve massive credit for that, and us fan base as well. So appreciate all the love, appreciate all the feedback, and let's keep talking through this period anyway. But yeah, I hope we enjoy the international break. I know we won't, but let's hope tomorrow night England's game isn't too dull, and we might even see Mark Travers in goal for Ireland, which would be interesting. And like I say, few players were on international duty, so let's hope they stay injury free and perform well for their countries. But yeah, enjoy all the content going forward, and I'll see you for the top of the table clash with Reading in the player ratings video, which I cannot wait for that game next week. So yeah, cheers, enjoy yourself, stay safe, up the Cherries.